My husband has watched that scene at least 4 times. When John screams, I'm not kidding you, every time my husband choke laughs to the point that he has to get up and walk out of the room and choke until he can stop laughing.
We're gonna start with, Amy Lee's birthday with the jetpacks, because the jetpack scene has to be one of the more involved moments of this season, and just like across the show entirely. What was it like getting to put whatever it was on and pretend that you're flying in the air?
It was incredibly intense. So the new, I had never done wires before, but the new wire things, they do these big things around your thighs. I guess used to be it would kind of cut here, and people would pass out because, is that your femoral artery right there?
It's definitely some kind of artery, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's your femoral line, or your femoral, I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, people would like pass out on the wires, and so the whole mechanism has changed, but what you have to do is tighten yourself so hard into it that the goal is to compress your spine so that when you're up in the wires, then you can hang better. Anyway, it's very, very, very intense. And then the packs were hilariously like 50 pounds each. And then each arm thing was so heavy. And then the helmets were sloshing around. I mean, yeah, it was no joke, but I love the way it looks. I'm so glad we did it.
The results are great, because I was going back through like all the different scenes, and I was like, this is just one of the funniest moments in the show this season. Watching you guys like crash up against different things. And also just prepping for like a musical number, because that's probably one of the bigger musical numbers this season, and I think that that's something safe to say that fans really enjoy. So for you, like, what is it like to prepare for a sequence like that? And I know that you also do like actual singing for it, right? So,
yeah.
Is there pressure on the day when you have to get up to the microphone?
I would be fine with more pressure on the day than how we did it. The way you do it usually for TV and movies is you go record it at a studio ahead of time. And then on the day, just to make everything easier, you kind of just like softly sing with it, or you kind of lip sync with your voice that you've already recorded the song with. I would love to like sing live and just see what happens. But it gets too complicated because there's too many departments involved. But yeah, when we would do a big musical number, it involves a lot. It involves, like for that one, everyone had to go record their like line or two, and then they have to mix all that together, and then you're there, and then the family had choreography. We just kept getting yanked up on wires. But actually we did have a fair amount of choreography. We had spinning and going and doing. But yeah, those big numbers are a lot of prep, but I think they end up looking so good and so exactly right.
Definitely. And I love that like everyone gets in on the action, even like Amber and Keith are on stage for that one.
Yeah, they were like kind of breaking it off.
Yeah. I also love that Judy, despite her indifference to BJ's new hobby or pastime, she still gives him a big pep talk before his big pole dancing routine that does go wrong. When you're preparing for these like moments where she is bolstering BJ, like how do you prepare for that, and what's fun about a dialogue like that? Because like I love the phrasing or like the mantra that they say before he gets on stage. It's so funny.
Eye of the tiger, dick of a horse, take no prisoners, show no remorse. So that one, I'm glad you brought that up, honestly. How is it to bolster BJ? I just feel like that honestly is where Judy likes to come from. I think she wants him to win, always. I think she gets jealous and like feels mad sometimes, but I think ultimately she wants him to win at everything. That little phrase though, so we were doing that day in the locker room. David Gordon Green directed that episode, and he needed to do kind of a moment before a moment type thing, space-wise. Probably to watch that guy walk past with his giant out, naked. I don't know. But it was probably to like time all the nude people walking past. But that was not in the script yet. And he said, can you guys say something right here? Can you do like a pep talk to BJ? And so yeah, that's what I came up with. in the moment. And I told it to Tim, and he said, yeah, great. And we learned it together and just did it right there.
Oh my God, so that's ad-libbed. Like,
yeah, I mean, or
not ad-libbed, but improv.
Not exactly improvised, but written right before we did it.
Incredible.
Usually full-on improvising happens as you're doing it. Like it floats into my brain and then comes out. That one we had like maybe 30 seconds to go, what should we say? I'm not going, how about this? And Tim was like, yep. And I said, let's practice it. And then we did it.
Obviously, BJ has his accident, and Judy is trying to be supportive in the best way she possibly can be, but she also kind of gets defensive and like starts yelling at people in the parking lot. How is it like getting up in people's faces?
When she's scared or confused or not sure what to do, I think it's most often going to come out on somebody. And those guys were looking at us. So they needed to get taught a lesson. I think she's scared to death when she's wheeling BJ out of that hospital. And I think she doesn't know how to deal with that. And but she does know how to deal with a couple of creeps who may be looking at her sideways, which I don't think they were looking at her sideways.
No. I love too when she's like helping up into the car and she's like, yeah, that was super easy. We're totally good. We're fine. This is going to be great. She keeps reminding her family that BJ's in a wheelchair at dinner. Is that like, a continuation of that, like lashing out for her own upset over the situation? Or, does she look for sympathy from her family, would you say?
I think she's not getting enough. I think they're not being cool enough. So I think part of it is she has to just tell them, like, do you understand the magnitude of what's happening here? He fell off a pole and he's really hurt and he's in a wheelchair now, and none of you are acting right about it. You're all kind of being dicks.
They kind of are, but she also, that dinner devolves into another drama because they discover that Lori and Eli are in a situation.
Yeah.
And the siblings go into the fridge to have like this freak out. I love when like the trio kind of gets together and they have these moments where they're just repeating the same thing over and over again, whether it's on the boat and they're like trying to convince Eli to come home, all these different things. So when you're getting into that zone, like what is it like to not, like, do you have trouble not breaking? Because it's just so funny to find them in these situations where, yeah.
There are times when we all break. I have to say though, when we find those moments, we're usually so invested and just mean it as the characters that, like, on the boat, you're referring to the loop. That was fully in the script. But us screaming, he's her in the freezer, and us screaming daddy after we walk in on him 69ing, neither of those things were in the script and were just discovered in the moment. And then yes, it did make us all laugh to scream these things while crying. So yeah, there's a moment where we're dying laughing at that, but then so yeah, it does break us to find those. Yes, it does break us to make us laugh to find those, but then we settle in.
Does that make you feel confident in that, like, it's going to be funny for the audience when you guys are laughing at the jokes? Or do you worry about that, like, it lands with you guys and then it's not going to land with people back home?
I think we don't even worry about that. I think that's always a really, really good sign to keep that something is true. If it makes us laugh or makes us cry or makes us feel any kind of way, then to just go with it because it's probably true and it's going to find its people.
The walking in on Eli, I want to preface that with, Judy, she tries to seduce Lori as a ploy to try and prevent her from getting with their dad.
Yeah.
What was it like filming that scene with Megan Mullally? And
Awesome.
How many takes did you guys have? Because I'm assuming there might have been different versions or iterations of that.
It morphed a little, yeah, and I was doing a lot of things to her physically that were not written. And thank God she was very up for that. We did it a few times, but it was really interesting the way we ended up doing it on the day. Danny directed that episode, and he had it all with a Steadicam and kind of just kept filming the whole deal. And that was really, really fun because for the most part, we got to kind of just do a little play. Usually you're breaking stuff up into, different coverage and whatever. And we did do some of that, but the constant fluidity of it really helped that scene and helped to keep the momentum of it. And yeah, God bless Megan Mullally to roll in being a comedy legend and to be up for doing that craziness with me was just so freaking fun.
Did you have a favorite moment from that scene, or a favorite line that came out of it? Because there's so many different, I guess, stages of that sequence from when she walks into the room to when they're parting ways.
I really, really love that whole scene. It's one of my favorites of the season, without a doubt. I really love how different the beginning is than the end, though, because I come in with such confidence at the beginning, and I'm saying insane stuff to her about, why don't you, pull off that bathing suit, let me snack on that and it ends with her really shooting me in the heart with saying she knows why I'm acting like this, and this is how I acted when my mother passed. And that transition was really, really fun and creatively satisfying to find with her. So yeah, favorite moment I guess would be a combo of the very beginning and the very end.
It's so great. And then, we also have them, like I said, walking in on Eli and Lori. When you read that in the script, I'm assuming that you also had to play or role in understanding that was going to be in there. But what was your reaction to knowing that you guys are going to have to see that, Megan and John doing this scene? I was shocked when I was watching it. So I can't imagine how you felt reading the script.
I just, man, this was a journey. I had put as a joke into a scene in the beginning of the season with Eli when he sort of has hooked up with that woman who lives at the docks or whatever. When she says, we 69 for 40 minutes straight. I had put that in there because it made me laugh, and then it made Danny laugh as well. But then I didn't know that we were creating this 69 monster with Eli. Then someone else had it to where we walk in on them 69ing, and I'm like, whoa, we have really created a kink for this dude. He really likes 69ing. And is John gonna be okay with this? Thank God he was. I think that was the main thing that kept running through my head was, and we're certain they're both still gonna do this? Okay, I know it's the day we're filming the scene. Are they still both up for doing this? And thank the Lord, they both were up for it.
Oh my God. And then their reaction is just so priceless.
My husband has watched that scene at least 4 times. Every single time when we scream and then John screams this perfect comedy scream that's a little higher than his real life voice. And when John screams, I'm not kidding you, every time my husband choke laughs to the point that he has to get up and walk out of the room and choke until he can stop laughing.
Oh my God. It's a tie between that scene and then also the Keith trying to convince Eli to, break up with Lori.
Yeah.
And he starts singing Misbehave. And I was talking about that this morning.
So wrong.
It's so funny. And then, you also have all of the Dr. Watson scenes. I guess, is there a favorite that you have between, because Dr. Watson gets a little jealous of Judy and vice versa. And so they're in this kind of, I don't know, what is it, tug of war match sort of over BJ's affection.
Yeah,
and
we're competing for BJ's love.
I love when the hair dryer comes into play.
I mean,
that's pretty dark.
Yeah.
Stuff. So I guess for you, what was it like getting to work? I asked you before what it was like to work with the monkeys, but what was it a favorite scene that you had with Dr. Watson this season?
I would say my favorite was probably when we go to get Dr. Watson back. And I sort of get to have that legitimate heart-to-heart with Dr. Watson. That was my favorite. Yeah, because a lot of the other times I'm kind of like not saying super nice things to Dr. Watson. And I like in that one that I got to have like an actual scene partner in Dr. Watson. And it was actually really, really cool to do a scene with a monkey because they are so almost exactly us. And yeah, not to spoiler alert, Dr. Watson's a girl in real life. But yeah, she would look in my eyes and I thought, we are them and they are us. And it was awesome. That was my favorite.
I love their dynamic. I think it's so funny that she's beefing with a monkey. Like a final note, you have this epic lakehouse shootout with Sean William Scott. What was it like crawling through the house and like being like, we're bleeding out, like turn directions, like there's so many, it's so chaotic, and you actually do feel like, oh my god, like are they gonna make it out of this alive? How much physicality was involved? Because I can imagine crawling. Yeah, I was gonna say crawling on the floor all day seems like very tiring.
Yeah, and very tiring, but so fun. I've loved anything we've done through the 4 seasons that is super physical, but with my brothers. Because we just start to have fun with it, and it's grueling, and yes, you have massive weird bruises on any bone that may have been hitting the ground as you dragged. Not exposed bones, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. On your knees, on your hips, on your... And you kind of just don't care because you feel like you're going through a battle with your brothers, and it's just fun.
What was it like getting to film at that lake house? I know that they had said that you guys took a while to find the house.
Yeah.
And then you finished the season shooting there for all the sequences. So was it special to kind of end it on that note and be together there for the last few scenes?
Very, very much so. I am so glad that we waited until we found exactly the right place, because I don't think there could have been a better spot. That place is so crazy. I mean, it is literally a massive mansion on a beautiful lake, which is what the Gemstones would have, and we just couldn't quite find all the elements. And so that coming into play, and then I know when Danny went to scout it, they basically have an altar in their house that was like shipped from Italy or something, and then we were like, this is the perfect spot for the moment with Sean, and it was all just meant to be. And the guys who own it were great and a blast to be around, and it was just fun. Yeah, it was fun. It's fun anytime through all the seasons when we can all be somewhere together doing the show in the same place day after day. So often we're all over the place.
Yeah.
But like BJ's baptism, the lake house, it was just delicious to like settle in with a bunch of people that you love and that you want to make laugh and that want to make you laugh.
It's so great. And then last question is, obviously Judy, she'd go next, or what do you think that she'd do now that she's gone through this, potentially facing death in the face? Like, are her and BJ gonna go have like a giant blowout like Disney vacation? Because they are Disney adults,
that's
like
a
secret
given.
Disney adults.
Oh yeah, they're full Disney adults. Yeah, got married there.
Yeah.
Don't know if you remember, Prince Eric. Yeah, I think they'll have a Disney blowout. I think they will. I think they're together forever, Judy and BJ, and I think that Judy's just gonna keep on crushing it. I think she probably has a huge music ministry at the Gemstone Salvation Center, and I think that probably she's also got a radio hit. She's rocking an Amy Grant moment.
Yeah, as she should.